welcome to Revlog, where Pastor Aaron is the funny one.
Hilarious, as a matter of fact.
Pastor Bryan is the good-looking one, and I'm stuck in the middle. So
I love it.
I'm the dull one caught in the middle between these two. So glad we could be together today. It's good to be with you guys as we continue on Job here.
Now, everywhere in Job.
Everywhere. We're all over the place.
Here, there, and everywhere.
We're everywhere.
I think, unless I've misread this, I think this is the only time we deal with Job's friends through this whole study, which is an odd thing we have to do.
Because they have a lot to say.
Chapters and chapters of things to say. But this is really the only week we deal with his friends, which our Bible study title is When Friends Fail.
When Friends Fail, yes. When friends get canceled. Gets canceled. The show. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't want to get into culture wars.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
When you're canceling your friends and those kinds of things. So, Bryan, help us start here. What do you hear as you've read this brief section on his friends, or we can think through the larger context of the three friends plus the fourth guy at the end.
Well,
where do you want to go here?
First of all, and I won't even mention the old joke about how tall was Bildad. He was a shoe height. But anyway,
I'm so glad you won't mention.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna.
I'm
go
the funny
there.
one. Don't.
Well, that joke just proves that you're the funny one. That I'm not. These friends, they start out and they are golden.
The 7 days of waiting endears them to us.
Absolutely. And you think, boy, if only all of us could have people who gather around us like that.
Right.
Who come and they see us. They take pity, not in a condescending way, but they're filled with pathos for this dear friend of theirs, and they sit and they mourn, and they're just present with him, and that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then they launch into these explorations of conventional wisdom, which doesn't help Job.
And in some general sense, most of everything they say can be true or is true in a generic sense.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I struggled with this on many readings of Job because when you start kind of in the middle and just where the friends are giving advice, some of it doesn't sound bad, and to a certain extent, it's not. Some of it is not bad advice, but when you look at this greater context of what they're trying to achieve, it's not. It misses the mark.
Yeah, the wisdom, though, like I said, though true, it's outside of the context of this situation,
right?
And they don't know the heavenly context.
Well, and it's sort of like in our day we would take. I've often heard people say, you train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. That's a promise of Scripture. Therefore, you must have done something wrong if there is some kind of anomaly or errant child or something like that. A child rejects the faith or whatever. It's often said, well, it doesn't. Those two things don't line up. Either you have done something wrong or Scripture is wrong, and that's when we make faith a list, a system, really, that is like a steps to a peaceful life, and that's not what it is.
And I think on some level, this is what wisdom is. I hear some crying out to Jesus, saying, who sinned, this man or his parents, right? That he's ill, and sometimes that is the case, and maybe often that is the case. And where I'm going is, many of our struggles in life are a direct result of sin and our bad choices, but not all of them.
That's right.
And wisdom is understanding the circumstance. And the whole book of Job helps us understand that sometimes there are circumstances that are beyond, that sin is being the only cause of the peril.
Right.
Sometimes there's greater circumstances.
You can say sin is ultimately at the root of what ails the human race.
Right.
But
in a particular instance.
The culpability in the immediate moment is not what's in question always.
Yeah. Sometimes I think he probably has a bet going with the singles ministry, where he throws out big words like pathos or bad jokes, and I think they're probably something behind the scenes here.
You've seen the Bryan Bingo, haven't you?
I created the Bryan Bingo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I do not think you're far off the mark at all. Not at all.
I think there might be some kind of code. He's speaking to the single adults here too. We need to figure out. So yeah. Let's. So do you have a code with a choir? Anything you want to throw in? So what were your?
That needs to happen. Yes.
You have to throw in some kind of musical terminology in your assessment of Job.
You got it.
So what do you think is we
lacking all that?
Right. Yeah.
Well, it is such an incredible setup to this text that, as you pointed out, the friends come and their first response is right, and it's not where we tend to go. So I would say let's look at this first initial reaction to these friends who come and don't have the words to say, and so they don't.
Right.
And that's so the first lesson is keep your mouth shut.
Yes.
Just be present. And and you've helped me with that. I mean, as we've talked about how to walk alongside others who are in grief, and I think we're always learning because of course we're never going to be shy of
this. Tells us his friends did not speak for 7 days. Most of us have trouble with 7 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Because we feel like we have got to fill the space.
Yeah. Right.
We've got to say the right thing. We've got to say the thing that's going to make the difference. And we tend to resort to platitudes that are often more harmful than helpful. Yes. And that's when we just need to be present. There's a great Winnie the Pooh thing with Piglet, and I wish I could but
choir, check your bingo. You got Winnie the Pooh.
But it has this very, very sentiment that I don't need you to say anything. I just need you to be next to me, and I have seen that borne out. And I in the last 6 months have had many times where I just keep your mouth shut and just let them know I love you, and just. Mm-hmm. Don't try and fix. Don't try. I mean, this is marriage. This is as a parent. This is as a pastor, as a friend.
You bet.
So there's that. And even if we do that, and here's where the second half of this comes in, we have all this dialogue going on in our mind that at some point when they haven't fixed it in a certain amount of time, we're like, what's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Why aren't you better now?
Yep.
And then, which again creates this false narrative that there is supposed to be a certain amount of time of grief and you should be over it.
Yes.
And that is just not how it works.
Right.
So
that is so exactly right on. Yeah.
And I've sat with people too. This is another level or another side of this conversation. Sometimes when we sit with folks, they beg us for platitudes and answers when there aren't answers.
Right.
And I can sit there and I can make something up, or I can give you a platitude, but I'm not sure how helpful that is either, just to tell you something so that you feel comfortable in this moment. It may be better to sit with the pain.
That's right.
And even when we're in it, we don't want to do that either. It'd be very difficult.
Yeah.
So, Bryan, what question did you have of Job's friends here?
Well,
or of this text?
This is...
Let me say, and we keep referring back to the bookmark. Let me say, these bookmarks are wonderful helps because these passages are jumping all over the place. So we have to keep referring back, figuring out where we are.
I'm trying to think about whether I want to... touch on this. Can I bring up one more point? Could I bring up one more point briefly? Do we have time?
Time.
Is our audience still there?
Yeah.
All right. Are you still there?
One quick point.
Okay. All right. There is.
Okay. Thank you. No, we love you, Bryan.
good.
Go ahead.
That's hilarious. One of these friends says, well, you're not Mr. Snow White squeaky clean
Right.
either, Job. And suddenly it takes this whole turn that maybe Job isn't this vaunted, bastion of moral inviolability that we have come to believe. And that's probably true. I mean, who of us? Job is not God,
Right.
And so we all of a sudden see that he has feet of clay. I mean, are we going to let that demolish everything? And these friends finally said, apparently they finally said, none of us are perfect, and you go poking around in your closet and these skeletons are going to fall out, so you just need to deal with that. And that's no help either,
Right.
really, in the larger questioning of things. So I just wanted to bring that up because lest we think Job is this pure as the driven snow person that has never done anything wrong. That's just not true. He is seeking righteousness. And therefore, that's the kind of righteousness he lived.
Well, and it says a couple of times in the scripture, and I think sometimes this confuses us. A couple of times, as he's dealing with their pain, it says he did not sin.
Yeah, right.
But that's not over his whole life. He's not Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It is in this moment when most of us would have sinned.
Yeah.
He did not
He
sin.
chose what was right.
He
Yeah,
chose
that-
what was right
yes.
in this moment.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
So to your question, leading into that.
My question is, from the friend's standpoint, how much room am I going to give someone
Yeah.
to suffer?
Yeah.
How much room? Am I running a timer? Am I laying my expectations on that person rather than sitting with that person in his pain? How much room am I going to give somebody to suffer?
Yeah, and we need that time in suffering. As fast as we want to come out of it, it's a part of who we are, and it's a part of life and part of our growth, and we need to sit with it sometimes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Aaron, what was your question here?
Oh, I get another point, don't I?
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh,
Right, yeah.
my word.
No.
2-minute rebuttal.
So, I mean, it is exactly where Bryan was. Just that am I willing to surrender my own misunderstanding of their grief and allow them and be a present friend rather than a solver of problems.
I love what you said there, because we may
cannot.
not understand somebody's grief. We may think we do,
Right.
And even to say, I know how you feel. We tend to place our own narrative there,
Right.
But I love that. I love
Did
that.
he just make a point off of my question?
He did. Yeah, you can have 2 points next week.
Thank you. Okay, good.
What's happening?
We would love to hear your thoughts on Job's friends if you would comment below.